Hey everybody, it is the interview queen Alicia Atout here, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to my interview with Sean from Grey Daze. Hello.
Hey, Alicia, thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you holding up over there? How's it going?
Doing great. Keeping myself very busy. I could add several hours to each day and not be able to have enough time.
I feel the same way. I feel like this pandemic has given people a lot of downtime since most aren't traveling or going out as much. But for you, between your daily 5K runs, promoting the album, and of course the stores that you run, have you had any time to chill or relax in that sense?
Um, no, I usually take several vacations a year, and this last year I didn't take any. I was
Right.
supposed to be doing a bunch of tours for the band and the album and press and all that stuff. I didn't get to do any of that, so I ended up writing a book instead. So when I did have downtime, I was writing a book, and that'll be coming out in March or May.
That's super exciting. I've heard from so many different people, regardless of what industry or avenue that they're in, that writing a book is one of the most tedious things ever. So for you, did you deal with that aspect? Was it more therapeutic? Kind of let people in on that.
So I've written, this is my third book. My first book was really tough because it was the first time I had ever done it. And it's called Tattooed Millionaire. That came out in 2017. That was really, really hard because I just had nothing to base the experience on to judge whether I was doing it right, wrong, you know. But this one I did it in about 3 months with Thora, and it was a lot easier, and it's more of a business book, so it didn't have the emotional strain or the emotional aspect to it. Like my first one was more of like my bio and my life story, so to speak, and this one was more um, business approach, business strategies, business theories. So little bit less emotionally draining.
But still draining nonetheless.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a time suck either way you look at it.
Well, before we get into the music aspect of your life, I am a huge comic book lover, so I have to ask you, how sweet was it actually voicing Green Lantern in this whole new DC Comics universe, a death metal, sonic metal verse?
Well, that's pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie. That when we got to work with Tyler, he's a good guy, and we had a lot of fun doing what we did with him. We can't really announce what we did yet, but we have some really cool stuff, and that whole DC thing coming out soon, and we'll make an announcement on that. But even cooler stuff than just the voicing of the Green Lantern, and so there's a lot to talk about there. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it yet. But for me, my favorite superhero as a child was Green Lantern. So when he asked us, he said, "Pick who you want to be," and I saw the Green Lantern available. I'm like, done. That's my guy. So that
Oh,
was really
that's
cool.
amazing. I could imagine just kind of tapping into the character you know so well and putting your own spin on it too. That's like a next level gig.
Yeah, it was rad.
Well, it's such an exciting time for you as the band very, very recently shared a new EP release called Immense Stripped. So, this is really just such a unique release because you are revisiting the original album and, of course, putting your laid back spin on some of the songs. So, how thrilled are you that it's finally out there? Because I know a lot of us are just sitting on our hands waiting for bands to release new tunes, and very glad that you guys are able to do that for everyone.
I love it. You know, for me, it's different than releasing a full record. And I've never released an EP before. I've done plenty of albums, but this is my first time for like a 5 track version of a release. And the way we got to approach this stuff, it was really unique. I, my personal opinion is some of these songs turned out even cooler than what we put on the regular men's album. Like the song Sometimes for me really came to life. That's an emotional ride for me. Listening to Chester in that atmosphere in that context, just really stripped back. And of course, you know, we paid a little bit of love homage to our, you know, our boys at Depeche Mode. We love that band, and when we started talking about album titles, we just talked about, well, it's stripped back, and I'm like, stripped, you know, that has a little tie to Depeche Mode, and I know we have nothing to do with Depeche Mode, but it's
But
just
if you
something.
love it, throw it in there.
And Chester loved him, so that's really where it comes from. Really, one of our hugest influences, especially for Chester vocal writing and lyric writing and stuff. So we always try to tie something back. I know it's off topic, but we loved it.
No, I absolutely love that. It's a beautiful tribute to Chester, and just for fans being able to hear his voice in yet another element after he's been gone, it's just such a beautiful thing. And I would really imagine that reimagining these songs and listening to those original vocal takes over and over, that must have kind of been really emotional for all of you guys in the studio and while you were putting this whole thing together.
Yeah, on the first round of Amends, the men's album took us about 2 years, 2.5 years to complete from start to finish. But when we first started working on it, Chester was alive and we were working with him. So when he passed, and then we decided to pick it up and take all the music and set it aside and just start with the vocals and literally work on the foundation of just a vocal track. And then we built it to where we thought it was really strong. And then we put and wrote the music around his vocal track. So the first couple months we were working on it that way was really emotional. It brought back a lot of stuff. And then it became fun and, very healing and cathartic. And then
Celebration.
it became a full length journey, a full circle journey anyways. Kind of through all the emotions. It wasn't always sad. I mean, there were moments of sadness, but quite honestly, we tried to reflect on a lot of the good times and just tell good stories. And we eventually had a lot of fun doing the record. And I think we put out something that Chester would have been very proud of.
I'm glad that you brought up memories and kind of thinking back because, of course, when you guys kicked this whole thing off, you were 17, Chester was 15, and you've shared before how the band is really close. You all used to kind of give each other some shit and mess with one another all of the time. So, do you remember any good pranks or moments where you really just kind of screwed around with each other and messed about?
One time we filled Chester's water bottle on stage with vodka, and he wasn't expecting that. So that was
The
a
solid
funny
one.
moment, and he turned around and sprayed me with it because he knew that I was the guy to do it. And we had a lot of stupid moments on stage where we would make fun of each other, but we were professional, so I don't want to make it seem like we were idiots up there. But we had a lot of laughs on stage. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is in Grey Daze, Chester was pretty much blind. He wore these really thick glasses, but he wouldn't wear them on stage most of the time. So when he was up there, he would be looking at you in the crowd, and you'd be just kind of this blur, right? And he didn't
Yeah.
really have that one-on-one interaction. And then when he ended up joining Lincoln Park, he ended up getting the LASIK surgery, and he called me and said, "Dude, I had a bit of stage fright. Like, I can see the look on their face now. I've never seen that before." And I never thought about it when we were playing together because it just was a dynamic we had. It was a normal thing. And so it was funny to hear him years later to talk about the difference in crowd reaction and crowd interaction that he had once his eyes were fixed.
I love it. That's amazing. I mean, at concerts, you brought them up there, and unfortunately, those have been put on hold for quite some time, which kind of has been breaking everyone's hearts at the moment. But if you could kind of see an artist right now to fill that live show void, who would you love to see this very moment?
I'll go back to, I'd love to see Depeche Mode. I did. So the last concert I saw was Breaking Benjamin. We went and saw Jason, the guys here in Phoenix. And then, oh no, the last concert we did, we saw Bush on New Year's Eve, maybe New Year's Eve,
That's
or
awesome.
no, it was in Vegas. Anyways, I don't know, it was Valentine's Day, around Valentine's Day in Vegas last year, and saw our friends from Bush. If I had my choice to go see, I would want to see Depeche Mode. Um, I'd want to see Alice in Chains again. I really liked watching them live. I saw them with Korn over the summer in 2019.
Me
Uh,
too.
buddies from
So stellar.
yeah, it's great. Williams sounds so good. I mean, what a tough job he has trying to replace Lane Staley, but I think those guys do such a good job of pulling it off.
He has such a clean, incredible vocal delivery. I remember watching him live and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just one of the best concerts I've been to. And you go
Yeah,
from that and then Korn just like turning up the bass until like 11. You're like, oh my God, this is insane. But good night.
yeah. Funny story. We went and we had dinner with Brian and Korn that night when they were in Phoenix, and we took them to this Mexican restaurant, and it was a really really authentic Mexican restaurant. Like nobody spoke English authentic, and he orders enchiladas or something, and then he asked for sour cream, and they misunderstood him, and it comes back, and it's got all the sour cream. He takes a big bite, and we're looking at each other like you and I are looking at each other, and he opens his mouth and kind of the food falls out. I go, "You all right?" He goes, "It's mayonnaise." And
Oh
I
no.
know. I was like, "How do they confuse sour cream with mayonnaise?" So that's kind of a running joke every time we talk now. Like, I'm gonna take you out for some Mexican food when I see you. But no, those guys are
Right.
great at concert and really, really good dudes.
That's awesome. Well, we've been discussing one of your passions being music, but you're also, of course, incredibly passionate about tattoos as you are the founder and CEO of Club Tattoo. So, how old were you when you actually got your very first one, and what was it?
I was 16 years old. I got a fake ID. We went down with my friends to a place called Artistic Tattoo in Central Phoenix. A tattoo artist named Paul Stotler tattooed me. He's very well known throughout the world now, but at the time he was just starting out. And I got this skull chopping his own head off on my arm, and I thought I was the coolest dude in school. And of course, it was the first tattoo I got covered up because the tattoo made skull cutting his own head off was just stupid. But no, it was a good memory and something that at the time I thought was really cool. It's also one of the reasons I try to tell people don't get a tattoo until you're 18 or
Yeah,
until you know exactly what you really want, other than trying to just be cool.
definitely. I feel like a lot of people have their first real tattoo and then they usually get it covered up and then they have like a first real tattoo that they're psyched
Right.
about. It's kind of like concerts. Like my mom took me to see Spice Girls when I was 3, but then when I was 8, I saw like Blink 182 and Taking Back Sunday. And like that was my first gig. So it's kind of
I went to Spice Girls when I was 3. No, just kidding.
well,
You're right. You just mature over time, and your tastes change. So whether that be what you want on your body permanently or your hair color, I'm 47 years old. I don't have purple hair. I don't think I'm gonna have purple hair. But when I was 16, it was cool to have purple hair. Your tastes change. So there's nothing wrong with that. But when you start talking about permanence, it becomes a different conversation.
definitely. Well, the last thing
What
I
was your
want to
fast? What was your first tattoo?
I surprisingly don't actually have any, but I'm fascinated by tattoos. Like I'll watch Ink Master, Tattoo Nightmares. Like I love the artistry of it, but I'm so chicken shit to get something on myself permanently. Like I just can't get over that first little nudge, you know?
Well, next time you're in Vegas or Phoenix, you look us up and we'll take care of you. We'll
Right. At least I feel like I know I'm in good hands. But the last thing I wanted to ask you about is the fact that on my show, I not only interview musicians like yourself, but also professional wrestlers. So if you were to have an in-ring wrestling gimmick or persona, what do you think that might be?
Man, I'm old school, so I would go with like Randy Macho Man Savage. That would be my go-to. Oh yeah, yeah. I love the old. That's I grew up with that when I was a little kid. Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik and guys
Yes.
like that. So like the new wrestlers, I think we've tattooed a couple of the big wrestlers now. I don't Jack Swagger, somebody that we
Oh, cool.
tattooed.
Yep.
Eric Bischoff from the WWE. We get a lot of celebrities that come in, and I know there was a guy and a girl that we tattooed. Um, they were pretty big in the wrestling thing. Just the name is escaping me here, but they're like a married couple in
Okay.
the wrestling world. Sorry, I forgot their name. I would have made for
No,
a better answer,
it'll come back to you as soon as we hang up.
probably.
Well, I really do want to say thank you so much, Sean, for taking the time, hopping on here. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to pick your brain and just chatting music, wrestling, and tattoos with you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course, to everyone watching, this has been Sean from Grey Daze, and be sure to check out aliciatout.com for more exclusive interviews and features. We will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Take care.